Ladies and gentlemen, today's news is some of the biggest news in Call of Duty and Activision history. For the last 18 months, it's been publicly known that Microsoft have been battling to try and acquire Activision Blizzard. This is a $69 billion deal that would see Xbox own every single Activision title, including Call of Duty, Warcraft, Candy Crush, Tony Hawk, Diablo, Overwatch, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, the list goes on. And for the last 18 months, Microsoft have been battling to get this approved in every country. And their biggest hurdle was in the US, as the FTC, or the Federal Trade Commission, put a temporary ban on the buyout. And for the last few weeks, Microsoft and Activision have had to battle against the FTC in court to try and get this approved. And the most sensational outcome has happened, where Microsoft has won its crucial court case against the US FTC, meaning that at any moment, Microsoft can fully purchase Activision Blizzard and acquire it, meaning Microsoft will own Call of Duty. And that can happen as early as a week from today. Now, there's been endless discussion about this happening and the ifs and buts if this actually will happen, but it looks extremely likely to happen now. So what does it mean if Microsoft acquire Activision and own Call of Duty outright? What does it mean? Well, with Microsoft owning Call of Duty, you'd think that that means that it would be exclusive to Xbox, but that is not the case. Microsoft have promised that for the next 10 years, Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation and Xbox. They will have the exact same features on day one. There will be no exclusivity with DLC or anything like that, and it will stay on PlayStation for at least 10 years. Furthermore, it's also promised that Call of Duty and the back catalog of all the other old Activision titles will be made available on Game Pass, meaning that millions and millions of more gamers will be able to play COD on their Xbox and get access to all of those older games, which is absolutely fantastic. Microsoft have also promised that if Call of Duty is going to be on Game Pass, then they are also going to put it on the PlayStation Plus service. So PlayStation gamers are also going to benefit, at least for the next 10 years, which is crazy. Microsoft have also said that they want to bring Call of Duty to the Nintendo Switch, which is going to be very fascinating because it's a much less powerful console than what we currently have for the PS5 and Xbox Series X. So I don't know what Call of Duty will look like on there, but they want to put it on there, so that's going to be a thing. And there's also been extreme talk as well about this deal enabling Microsoft to allow you to play Call of Duty in the cloud on any mobile device, such as a phone or a tablet, which is going to be crazy. Now, as it stands, PlayStation still hold the exclusive rights to Call of Duty. So this upcoming Call of Duty game this year, the rumored Modern Warfare 3 COD 2023, will still have that Sony deal, so there'll still be some exclusivity for PlayStation. But when Treyarch's next game rolls around in 2024, that deal won't be in place anymore. And if the deal goes through, Microsoft will own Call of Duty and there won't be any exclusivity. Now, because PlayStation still have that exclusivity deal, then sadly it doesn't look like Call of Duty will be on Game Pass until next year once that exclusivity period ends. But outside of that, what are the big changes that we'll see with Call of Duty? Well, suddenly all of the studios that develop COD, so Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, they will all be under Microsoft, and they will call to their new CEO, which will be Phil Spencer. Bobby Kotick will no longer be the CEO of Activision, which is something I know quite a lot of people will celebrate. But under Microsoft's direction, Call of Duty could actually have a slightly different direction in how it looks. At the end of the day, it will still be Activision that will be making and publishing the game, so it's still their ideas at the end of the day. But of course, Microsoft will still have a little bit of an influence in what that might look like. And with regards to if we might see further Call of Duty projects, or maybe even less Call of Duty games, so we don't see one every single year, but maybe one every 2 years, and then we see much more hands-on support for the games for their year 2 contents. We've seen how Microsoft have treated Halo with the remaster treatment over the years with the Master Chief Collection. There is a chance that Call of Duty could have that same treatment under the Microsoft umbrella. Only time will tell. Now, with this news, this essentially has sealed the deal for Microsoft to buy Activision by next week worldwide, apart from the UK. And that's because in the UK, we have a thing called the Competition and Markets Authority, who blocked the acquisition back in April, and Microsoft is currently appealing that decision with a hearing that will be set on July 28. Now, this deal has been approved in 38 countries, and now including the US. That is the biggest hurdle that they had in the whole thing, but the UK is still a big part of their yearly revenue for Call of Duty, with nearly $1 billion coming from just UK sales and revenue purchases alone. But in the last few moments, Microsoft has just announced that Activision, Microsoft, and the UK CMA CMA have asked the CMA tribunal to halt its process as the three work together to find a solution in the UK, with them stating after today's court decision in the US, our focus now turns back to the UK. While they ultimately disagree with the CMA's concerns, they're considering how the transaction might be modified in order to address those concerns in a way that's acceptable. Now, I really hope this ends up with positive news, because the UK is the last big hurdle needed before this can be absolutely approved and ready to go as soon as humanly possible. And I've heard discussions that if this does get blocked in the UK and after everything it still gets blocked, then there's a chance that Call of Duty might not be in the UK anymore. Now, I don't see a reality where that would actually happen, and there was some discussion that there would be some weird middleman way in order for you to get Call of Duty in the UK. I don't think that Activision could sell it directly, but there would still be some way that you'd be able to get it. It just sounds super complicated and super silly, and with them now being able to do this in the US, then there is no reason that it can't be approved in every other country now. Now, it's going to be so interesting to see what the future of Call of Duty is like if it is owned by Microsoft, which looks extremely likely. And according to the judge and what they said about Call of Duty today from the US court, they said that Microsoft's acquisition of Activision has been described as the largest in tech history. It deserves scrutiny. The scrutiny has paid off. Microsoft has committed in writing, in public and in court to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for 10 years on parity with Xbox. It made an agreement with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to Switch, and it entered several agreements for the first time to bring Activision's content to several cloud gaming services. To the contrary of a substantial lessening of competition, the record evidence points to more consumer access to Call of Duty and other Activision content. The motion for a preliminary injunction is therefore denied. Now, just imagine once this goes through, Microsoft put all the old Call of Duty games onto Game Pass, but then they also go ahead and update all of the servers and even go ahead and maybe update some of the fundamental back systems of the games to prevent these games from having some of the recent issues that we've been seeing, such as remote code execution, having your IP address pulled from the game, having your game crash. This could genuinely be one of the greatest things we've seen for Call of Duty going forward, as well as the back catalogue of games as well. And once Microsoft acquire Activision, there's also a chance that they could literally acquire or dedicate more of the Microsoft-owned studios towards developing Call of Duty. So we have even more studios making content on these games. We'd even see new studios entirely create their own versions of Call of Duty that go alongside the years where we have Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer. But I think the likelihood is that there would be more hands on deck to help make content during the seasons for Call of Duty. And again, we could see like, a old school like Call of Duty Classic come out that just has a load of maps, modes, weapons from really old CODs, from like the original COD 4, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, as like a sort of Call of Duty online version, but we see it on Xbox and every other platform. Like, how insane could that be? Possibilities are truly endless here, but one thing is for certain, this is either going to make or break Call of Duty, because we just don't know what the future of it is going to look. But I am staying very optimistic that this is going to benefit Call of Duty in a fantastic way. Let me know what you think down below. Drop the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more.